So we all know how busy nurses are today, running around like headless chickens on the wards. Can we really expect them to be assessing patients' deeper spiritual needs? Maggie, I remember you had surgery and you'd just come back from surgery. You come back to work after surgery, and I asked you about your experience of the nursing care.
Yeah.
And of course also about whether your spiritual needs were addressed. And you said, and I'll quote because this is in a book that's just been published, "The nurses were great, but they were so rushed off their feet. They could barely fit in taking a medical history. So they certainly didn't have the time to ask me about my spiritual needs. But I did have spiritual needs, although I might not have recognised them as such at the time." Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, well, I'd had surgery, and the first night after surgery, I think I was so zonked out. I was completely out of it. But the second night, as the lights dimmed, I wasn't feeling well. I had a slight chest infection, and I became convinced that I was going to die. I realised with hindsight it was the very strong painkillers I was on, and I really developed a distorted sense of reality. But I got more and more anxious, and then I thought, oh my goodness, this is like a premonitory sense of impending doom, and I am going to die. Mm-hmm. I did call for somebody to just come and check me over, if you like, and they called down this young, newly qualified medic, and he said, physically it was fine. I was on antibiotics and so on, and he left. But I still felt absolutely dreadful. The fear was awful, thinking about, am I ever going to get home again? Will I ever see my family again? And it was only afterwards I realised that I had quite profound spiritual needs at that point. Mm-hmm. And of course recognising with hindsight that it was part of this distorted sense of reality. It wasn't a good experience.
No. So thinking about the two questions that we've developed with this new model, what's most important to you right now and how can we help? How do you think they might have been meaningfully applied in your situation in hindsight? Yeah,
in hindsight, certainly in the daytime, what was uppermost was, can I have a decent wash? Is my wound okay? Can it be redressed, and so on? But it was in the night time, when it became dark, something I'm sure many nurses on a surgical ward will have experienced, how patients become really quite confused at that point. That really what I wanted, what was important to me, was to have some reassurance, and to have someone come and sit with me, be with me, perhaps talk to me. So if they'd asked what's important to you at the moment, it would have been to have some reassurance and to have that person with me. If they'd asked, well, how can we help? I would have hesitated, in all honesty, to say, can you call the chaplain out, please, at 3 o'clock in the morning? But I would have asked, but felt guilty. Is there anyone with some time who could just sit with me for a little while? It would have been great if actually there could have been a chaplain who could have come and sat with me, perhaps, read to me some comforting passages, although it might have also freaked me out, thinking, oh, is this the last rites? Which is why I think it's important that you're asked, how can we help, rather than thinking, oh, well, let's get the chaplain in, But I think that would have been really helpful. And it's, you know, when you're like that, when you're under that influence of strong medication, you can't identify for yourself, oh, I have spiritual needs. In fact, it was only really when you asked me when I returned to work how were your spiritual needs met that I thought, that's what it was. That is what I needed. So yeah, I think they're great questions.
Great, thank you.